There seem to be certain parallels with 9/11. There's talk of the same security company being involved in both. Would that be correct?
ICTS, Fortress GB, Variant Systems, Converse Technology, as you rightly point out, these also turn up in New York for giving out tickets at the stations where the planes took off, and also in charge of the CCTV at those airports where the CCTV was all switched off. And we get these same companies turning up in London overseeing the security of the London Underground. I think it was a very wrong thing that Red Ken did when he put the American Bob Carley in charge of the London transport, a man, major CIA operative on the Council of Foreign Relations. So he had divided loyalties, and there shouldn't have been these foreign firms in charge of the London Underground security. I think that very much helped this whole disaster to happen. Yeah.
And I guess they're still in charge, foreign companies.
Well, I think so. Yeah.
Didn't the bus in Tavistock Place explode right nearby one of the offices of
Yeah, two of the offices. That's a good point. Fortress GB and ICTS, both on the first floor, directly where the bus blew up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So who would you say is actually behind the bombings?
Oh, well, I don't really do that, Maurice, but I would say there's three intelligence agencies, Britain, America and Israel, that work together, very, very closely together. I metaphorically call them the axis of evil. And I think in all false flag events, these three are involved, and you can't really separate them out. Must be obviously domestic complicity of MI5, just as there is of the BBC in this event. There's also strong American involvement. Key information comes from America, and I think we have evidence of some degree of US participation in this event. After all, it did happen the day after Bush arrived for the big conference up in Scotland, Gleneagles.
Issue. Today we were running an exercise for a company, bearing in mind I'm now in the private sector, and we sat everybody down in the city, 1,000 people involved in the whole organisation, but the crisis team. And the most peculiar thing was we based our scenario on the simultaneous attacks on the Underground and mainline station. So we had to suddenly switch an exercise from fictional to real.
Just to get this right, you were actually working today on an exercise that envisioned virtually this scenario?
Almost precisely. I was up until 2 o'clock this morning because it's our job, my own company, Advisor Consultants. We specialise in helping people to get their crisis management response. How do you jump from slow time thinking to quick time doing? And we chose a scenario with their assistance which is based on a terrorist attack because they're very close to a property occupied by Jewish businessmen. They're in the city, and there are more American banks in the city than there are in the whole of New York. A logical thing to do. And I've still got the...
I was going to say, how extraordinary today must feel for you as it unfolds.